Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you another 1 vs 1 on Orsha North, and in this one I'm going to be using the 29th Tank Corps once again on the Soviet side. But my opponent today is Gnef, and he was using the 20th Panzer. Please remember this is beta and therefore everything is subject to change. So after my previous game with Gonzo, I did make a lot of adjustments to my division for 1v1, and Gnef, being the good opponent that he is, I decided to play against him and test out the division and see how well it would do. So we are running Maverick once again, but I am focusing more on the use of T-34s as opposed to ISs. Like, the IS is great and all, but it suffers at long range because of its accuracy, and so I thought maybe what I'd do instead is bring in the T-34-85s with the APCR potentially and use those to snipe at range instead. The only awkward part is that they have a lot less armor, so any sort of AT gun can really snipe them at range, like your T-34s, that is. So let's just speed it up. We'll get some of the deployment down, and you can see that I'm starting to build up a certain amount of troops on the right side. I've got some Tanko-Desantniki in the M2A1 half-tracks. We've got two T-34-76s, which are going to be following those up. We've got a Strelki in there. There's also going to be the Strelki Komroti. Now, I ended up changing the Avto Komroti to Strelki Komroti in the 1v1 because you get 4 in a card on phase A at 1-star veterancy, as opposed to the 2 Avto Komroti you can get at 2-star veterancy. So this allows me to have basically my entire front covered with command. There's also a 57mm AT gun that's going to be pushing up and hopefully covering the road on the right side. And then we have some more Strelki at the back there, a couple Ognjemachiki as well, which are the 2-man flamethrower squads. I've got a bunch of Ognjemachiki heading to the center. These guys are going to be very cheeky indeed, trying to get up to these buildings. The 2-man flamethrower squads do push the front line, so I was hoping to just hold these objectives with those and be very inconspicuous. Then we have a couple of 45mm that are going to be sitting on top of this hill, just hoping to kill off any of Gnef's transports and so on as they come forwards. I've also got Tanko-Desantniki trying to back up the Ognjemachiki as well with the M2A1. Also got some Strelki heading to these trees. On the left side, I decided to bring in some Ognjemachiki with a Strelki Komroti. That's got 1 T-34 on that side and a Strelki DP, which has the PTRD in order to kill enemy transports and also just engage the tanks at close range with that T-34. So lightly defended on the left side. I've got the majority of my eggs in the basket on the right side, and this is where we're going to try and make a play with a double T-34. I can also try and make some ground in the center, because if Gnef hasn't invested into any AT guns early on, I can run down things like this Osttroop, and you can see my Tanko-Desantniki there just charging forwards. The guy at the front using his 50 cal, smashing those Osttruppen. The intention's going to be to just unload my Tanko-Desantniki right next to them. We'll have a nice old firefight. And what ends up actually happening, AT gun hits the half-track, my Tanko-Desantniki ends up surrendering because the half-track blew up, and we actually lose out on that engagement. But we got a nice salient here caused by the Ognjemachiki, and we've got the Strelki DP backing up this flamethrower as well. This Strelki is managing to fire across with their double DPs, and one good thing about these Strelki DP squads, because they have 2 of these DPs, they have a lot of suppression at range, and against units like Osttruppen, which are disheartened, that's really helpful. So the Osttruppen are just going to do a runner, and we're going to be able to take control of those areas. Now on this right side, you can see that I've got my 2 half-tracks. They're going to move up. One's going to be supporting the T-34s, one's going to just try and push up to the point. We've got the Strelki Komroti maintaining command over all of the units. The only mistake here really is not having the Tanko-Desantniki in front of the Strelki Komroti at this point. On the left side I'm just chilling. I didn't really want to have to focus on attacking two sides at once, so just playing defensively on the left side, and you can see that I haven't really come under any pressure in this town. So the M2A1 that's going to get killed as these Panzer IIIs approach, and now we have a standoff between our T-34s and the Panzer IIIs. We do manage to take one out since my T-34-76 gets lucky with the crits. Load of wounded, transmission damage not too bad, whilst we managed to kill off both of the Panzer IIIs. I believe they actually have less health in general than standard medium tanks, which is why they get one shot. But either way, still win the engagement, and that's really good for me. I can push up now with the Tanko-Dessalniki through these trees and try and capture that point. I have already captured the point with the M2A1 half-track, and across the board we have captured a lot of the points in the centre with these flamethrower squads. Now the great thing about these two-man flamethrower squads is they don't reveal themselves at range because they don't have any rifles. So what ends up happening every time is infantry squads move towards them and they just get ambushed by the submachine guns and the flamethrowers, unless like an alpha color like this runs towards them, in which case they might get spotted before they end up opening up. But on this left side you can see the Sturm Pioneers come in, and my Ognemechiki gonna be able to ambush them. So I get the flames off first every time. Unfortunately the flames do come back from the Sturm Pioneer and kill the two-man squad, losing us the point, but that gives you a good demonstration of what they can do. And against units that don't have flamethrowers, it can work really, really well. On the right side, my T-34-76 ends up getting bailed out. This one's still transmission damage, so it's very slow. And with the loader wounded, it's going to take a while to reload every time. The Tanko-Dessalniki, they're now coming up, and we're going to try and push through these trees in order to open up this right side. But with the loss of those flamethrowers, you can see we've actually lost 3 points, and therefore it's gone back to 12 to 12. And we're also about to lose this point because the Ognemechiki are about to die. We've got the double Panzerjäger RSO on the hill here, these absolutely derpy guns. Going to end up blowing one up there, but the other one still able to fire back at my Su-57. Unfortunately that couldn't kill both, but only one. That was an engagement that went in Gnef's favour. Those RSOs only cost 35 points. I think my Su-57, it costs like 40 or 50 points, so that wasn't good. Anyway, the 45 mils here, you can see they're going to open up onto the Panzer IIIs that are attacking the town. The Stalky and Ognemechiki are now under threat. But I do have a couple of T-34-76s on the way to help out with those engagements. And if I can turn these tanks to face the T-34s, then my AT gun on the left here has a decent chance of side-shotting a lot of these Panzer IIIs. So that's the engagement we're currently looking for. T-34 there going to get the kill onto the SDKFZ-247B, and my AT gun finishes off the Panzer III, sorry, past the town. The Strelke here now going to engage the Ostruppen, and on the right side we got some more Strelke DP coming up. Again, I really need to just open up this side. We can see that there's an infantry squad here due to the way the front line is, and there's also still infantry in here. And they are going to find my Strelke Komrati. That's probably like the worst unit they could have found, because that's providing command to all of my units in the surrounding area. So that was unfortunate. But as they continue to move forwards, they come across my M2A1, and my Strelke managed to bait the Sturm Pioneer forwards, and we're able to do a lot of damage to those. Now this T-34 is currently firing all the way across to this Panzer IIIL. Really long range engagement there. Do manage to even get that kill, which is really, really good. Unfortunately, the Strelke, as they run away, they end up bumping into the Sturm Pioneers that are here, and we lose them to the surrender. These Tanko-Dessalniki would have surrendered if the Strelke weren't nearby, but my Strelke are able to quickly finish off that Sturm Pioneer before they do too much damage. So back to 12 to 12, and a very, very exciting game between myself and Gnef in the early game. Now we are really waiting to ramp up into Phase B, where we can hopefully take full control. I can start to bring in multiple T-34s and really start to overrun a lot of this infantry. The great thing about these T-34s, they can really just face tank a lot of these flames, because the flames are unlikely to do too much damage to the tanks, and therefore we can kill them off in good time. Whilst my Strelke here, you can see they're engaging the Ostruppen. Now the great thing about these Strelki compared to like Gavardia is they have 8 SVTs, so they actually do like way more damage like a normal Strelki squad will do, or even the Gavardia. So Ostrupen not going to be there for long. We've cleaned up both of the Sturm Pioneers that were on the right side, so that's really good. I did just lose a T-34 76 here. I believe the Beuter Stalin from the right side shot left, and well, since it had its side armor showing, I managed to get an APCR shell into the side of the IS. I was unfortunate not to hit it a second time, but you can see the IS is still firing away with that APCR, and since the crew is panicked, there's potential that the IS might show side armor. Now I've brought up some Tanko Desaniki. I just want to take control of the trees in between all the points so they can't get any flanking movements going on. And we're currently at 13 to 11. Now an ME-109 G2 was brought in to strafe resist too, but we're going to do a head-on with the P-39. P-39 with its better armaments is able to do quite a lot of damage to the ME-109 here. You can see we do cause that oil leak, and the P-39 going to be coming back round to try and finish the job. Another nice thing, on this right side we've got plenty of these M2A1s, and they are able to help out with that air engagement due to the 50 cals being able to fire at the sky. So I now fly away. Gnef brings in another ME-109 G2 to try and take control of the skies once more, but not really too much for me to worry about. These ME-109 G2s don't really have much strafing capacity. You can see it's trying to go for the Su-57. It does quite a lot of damage to these Su-57s because they are open top. But otherwise, like a standard unit like a tank will barely take a scratch from an ME-109 G2, and Gnef's going to just get that out of there, make sure it doesn't die to any future AA and so on. So, on the right side we have the M2A1 here engaging the Ostrupen. Those Ostrupen in the open really do suffer. With their disheartened trait, they take, I think, 50% more suppression, and as soon as they get pinned down they automatically run away, so you can see they're just instantly falling back. And the plan here was to get the Tanko Desaniki to capture back this point, so I've got the M2A1 in support. It's currently out of line of sight of the AT gun on the right, but is being hit from an AT gun on the left, so I lose the half track, but we've got Tanko Desaniki versus Ostrupen, and since those are 8 100-meter range units, I want to get on top of those Ostrupen as quickly as possible, so I drop the smoke, and we're going to be charging through here into that building and challenging them directly. And that will hopefully kill them off, allow us to take control of this point. You can see the front line opening up there, and we're now 14 to 10. On the left side, I am in trouble. We are having a little bit of pressure put on us by the artillery from Gnef. The Ostrupen here trying to push forwards. There's also a Panzer III that's trying to help out. Now the Panzer III against the 90 front armor of the T-34-76 does struggle to penetrate, but I was very lucky there that the T-34 managed to get that one-shot kill. Well, I don't know how lucky that actually was, because at that range, accuracy is like almost 100% every time. So, I don't know, maybe the T-34 was just doing its job, really. And I think that Panzer III was just unlucky that it didn't get crit as opposed to killed. Now I do lose the Strelki DP there to the mortar, so the T-34 is forced to fall back and we lose the point on the left side, going back to 13 to 11. Meanwhile, in the centre, we did lose this point to these Ostrupen previously, but my Strelki have found those. And over time, the Strelki will win an engagement against the Ostrupen because the Ostrupen only have 1 MG. So I knew that I'd win that engagement if there was no other interference, and then I would take back this point. However, to speed it up, I decided to bring in the P-39. That's going to be strafing that Ostrupen, makes them surrender, and we capture the point sooner. Because I knew that he had these mortars firing, and there was a very good opportunity for him to just mortar our Strelki, and therefore me lose the Strelki to the surrender of his Ostrupen. But I thought I would jump the gun and make sure that we got there first with the P-39. So 2 more ME-109s in the sky now, so bringing up some more AA. I've already brought up a 37mm on the right hand side that's helping out, but this one's going to be on the high ground, so it will have a bit better range onto some of these aircraft and help us just cover our line. And the right side's looking really strong for us right now. There's only one point that we don't have on the right side, and that is back here. Otherwise, we're much better off just pushing from right to left and capturing all of these points that are in this compound, these forests, and I think there's one up on the hill here, yeah. There's also one in the forest back there. So pushing from right to left right now is a much better idea than sort of just defending on the right hand side. But yeah, so far so good, and yeah, with us being in phase B and with me sort of optimizing this division, the T-34-85s, they are doing really, really well. I think I actually prefer them in this division almost to the IS-2s, which I think some of you will say is blasphemy because the IS-2s are pretty badass, but I just find them really slow sometimes, not very responsive, and their accuracy kind of sucks. But yeah, anyway, T-34-85 now pushing forwards behind the town, and you can see that I'm just able to reinforce myself across the board. That Panzer IV ends up getting killed by the T-34-85. And we have like the Boyce Stalin that's going to be trying to push around the corner. So this is pretty much a good example of why the IS-2 is kind of bad sometimes. They have like 25 km/h off-road speed, and that means that if they take criticals or they start to fall back, it takes them ages to move away from where they are. So in this situation, I've got T-34s, two T-34-85s, sitting on the low ground. I've got one that's coming in with APCR shells to get rid of the Boyce Stalin. It actually has the penetration value to penetrate the Boyce Stalin in the front armor, so that's good. And then we also have a T-34-76 that I can potentially like come down the side of the hill and find a side shot. So that's kind of the plan I've got going on there. Now Gnef's going to be bringing in the Ju-87D5. This is a good example of the cluster bomber being used. It is going to be able to drop its cluster onto the T-34-76, but I think it kind of missed the mark because of our AA. My P-39 comes in there and shoots that down very quickly indeed. Now the Ju-87 is going to come in and take out my T-34-85 in the town. That was a 1944 variant going down, so that's 100 points down the drain, which was unfortunate, but here we go. P-39 once again. We're going to just go straight for the back of that Ju-87. I didn't care if the ME-109's got onto the tail of the P-39, honestly. At that point, I've got an LA-7 now coming in, which I have added to my division. Now these are actually pretty fast, and I found their 20 mils actually enough to shoot down enemy fighters. However, they do struggle to shoot down anything that's a bit heavier. So against these ME-109s, the ME-109 G6s, they can do pretty damn well, and that's exactly what's happening here. You can see the LA-7 just managing to outturn these planes quite a lot. But I'm going to end up trying to retreat my LA-7 because we lost the P-39, and without the P-39 there it's a 2v1. Thankfully the LA-7 is fast enough to outrun both of these ME-109s, and they're going to end up flying straight into my AA and taking a lot of damage because of that. Then what I'm going to do, ambush them from the spawn as they come too far, and we're going to pick up 2 more ME-109 kills, and that's going to give us full control of the air. We also managed to kill off an AT gun here with the Strelky that's managed to push all the way up. And whilst that's all been going on, I've been bringing up loads more units. We've got the Commander all the way back here. I didn't even use that for the entire game. Finally brought it in as I'm bringing up the IS-2 that can make good use of that on the high ground. So the P-39 coming in for the strafing run now onto the Boyce Stalin. Just going to try and make that fall back so the T-34-85s can get the kill. So 2 P-39s with all of that firepower able to do so, and here we go, T-34s on the hunt. And Gnef's going to surrender, knowing what's coming. And after 16 minutes and 53 seconds, we were successful. So, yeah, I think a much better build for my battle group in this game was demonstrated. Got to remember, though, that the 20th Panzer is a B-tier division, so there are a lack of options in the late game. And I think due to Gnef's early game not going too great for him, it just kind of snowballed into the late game, and it probably just would have got worse and worse as I was able to bring in more IS and more T-34-85s. But the Maverick worked to a T. You could see actually how close it was in the early game, and then eventually my points just spilled over, and I managed to get a lot of ground and a lot of points back that I'd originally lost. But my Flamethrower squad's been really cheeky at the start, the Ognema cheeky being cheeky. as always, capturing those points with those Jeeps. They are very fast and they're able to do so, so good recommendation for some of you guys if you want to cheese your opponents. In terms of kills, the P39s did really well for me. We shot down 2 of those Ju-87 D5s as Gnef was trying to kill off my tanks with those. But we were just giving them a good try. Really nice kills in there, actually. Big thanks to Gnef, by the way, for letting me record this replay. It was a lot of fun, and hopefully you guys enjoyed some of the close-ups I tried to do throughout the replay. That's it, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.